I apologize in advance for releasing this video as late as I did, but as of March 2024, the drip feed for the Chop Shop DLC is officially finished. And now that everything in the update has been released, I figured it would be appropriate to finally make a full review of the DLC and how I rank it overall compared to the other updates. For anyone who's new to this, I started this series with the San Andreas Mercenaries DLC, and I'm going to be reviewing some of these last updates that come out in GTA Online. I'm going to quickly go over the majority of the stuff we got with the update, sum it all up, and give my final thoughts before we get the next update, which should come this summer in 2024. So I guess a good place to start would be the Chop Shop itself. This is a new business that was added to GTA Online, and it's a passive business much like the nightclub. Basically, you just tow cars, you put them in the shop, and over time they will get you money both in your pocket, which you can then bank, or in the safe, which you can then claim. It's not bad, like the pay isn't too bad. I do wish we had a bar we could fill up like the nightclub, because mechanically it works in a very similar way. And honestly, why there isn't a bar like that, I really couldn't tell you. It's just weird that they kind of missed that. It may have been an oversight, I'm not sure, that's what it seems like. But either way, the business itself is fine. It's not going to make you rich or anything, but it is a decent amount of income if you have the time and energy to tow a bunch of cars. As an added bonus to the business, there's also new missions that we can take part in. These missions pay a pretty decent amount for the work you put in. The preps themselves aren't that difficult, and then the finale mission is pretty easy to do as well, although they do have optional challenges. A lot like a bunch of the missions we've gotten lately, these missions have optional tasks that you can do, or, well, I say tasks, more like just challenges, like get a certain amount of like headshots, or do a thing with like a certain weapon. And honestly, like overall, the challenges are pretty fair for most of them. There's only one specific mission that has really bad challenges, and that's the McTony robbery. But if you're like tried hard enough, you could probably solo all of these challenges, and even ones like the McTony robbery, if you have at least one other player, the challenges aren't really that difficult. And speaking of, if you play these as an associate, or if you play as a secondary person with another player, you also get paid a pretty decent amount. You get paid like around 100 grand for finale, and I think you do get bonus pay for completing the tasks. So overall, these missions aren't too bad. I just wish we were able to replay them. For whatever reason, the cooldown for these missions is like an entire week. Every week, these missions reset, and you're able to play some new ones. And I really wish we could just replay them. It seems kind of weird to me that the cooldown is like a week long. I couldn't really tell you why they decided to do it like this. The only thing I could think of is the new mechanic where every so often a car pops up in there that we can buy or that we can just claim. And the unique thing about this is that there's also like a whole bunch of new license plates that you can get from buying these cars. It's like a whole thing. I'm not going to explain the whole thing. Other people have already done that. But overall, I think these missions are fine. I don't have any major complaints about them, other than the fact that we just can't replay them. Now, something I do mind is the new weapon we got. Now, if you thought the precision rifle from the last update was bad, oh boy, where do I fucking begin with the battle rifle? I'm not going to waste too much time because this video isn't about this rifle, but oh my fucking god, I hate this thing. Just low ammo count, shit damage. Like, I don't understand why the fuck I would ever use this thing over literally any other rifle. It's just bad. There's also several bugs involving this thing. Like, for whatever reason, if I try to unequip this, I keep getting that bug where, like, certain weapons just do not have ammo sometimes. So do not buy this fucking thing. Skip purchasing this if you can. It is fucking awful. There is another mission I want to mention, but I'll tack it onto the tail end of this review since chronologically it was the last part of the update we got. So before I do that, let's talk about one of the major changes with this update is that we finally got wildlife in this game. After 10, 11 years, God, it's been that long, we finally got the wildlife that was present in this single player mode in online. And I kind of understand why Rockstar has waited this long, because we didn't have the PS5 and the Xbox Series before. Now that we have this like really potent hardware, it's really cool that they were like, oh hey, let's add wildlife now. And you know what? I'm actually not disappointed. This honestly added a spark of life to the game that it's needed for a long time. This combined with the random events, NPC interactions, and like all this stuff, it honestly does make the game feel a lot more vibrant. And there's also a new activity where you can take pictures of the wildlife, send it in for money, and there's even a trade price you can get for a vehicle. And this new vehicle happens to be the Park Ranger, which is something we've wanted for a long time. And speaking of stuff we've got or speaking of stuff we've wanted for a long time, we cannot talk about the Chop Shop DLC without talking about the Gauntlet Interceptor. This, plus the other, like, 3 different police vehicles, this is something I think we've wanted for several years. It's cool that they finally added this, and it's no joke either. These things have a lot of customizations. There's all sorts of ways you could build these things. They're a lot more expensive, but that brings us to the last thing I wanted to talk about, which is the Cluckenbelt Farm Raid. I really like this mission. I would even dare say this is probably up there in my heist tier list now. And the best part is that there's no paywall. Literally, as a day one player, you could jump into this with no knowledge or experience of the game and make a decent amount of money in a decent time. And there's like no paywall to get started. You do have to do 5 missions to determine how the 6th mission is going to go. It's a lot like the 2 most recent heists in that way, but it's not like overly punishing. It's a very decent way for a new player to get started, I feel. And between this and the Acid Lab, I really hope this is starting a new trend where new players aren't going to be overwhelmed and that there is going to be a decently easy way that they can just jump into. Now, the only major complaint I could possibly think of with this is that the outfits on the finale are not buyable or unlockable. I really do wish they were. I have a sneaking suspicion they're probably going to throw this in with some GTA Plus, like, subscription or something, but honestly, considering that's my only gripe with this, I really think that just says to the quality of this mission. It will get repetitive after a while. To be fair, that's just the nature of GTA Online. It's a 10-year-old game. These mechanics in the game are like really old and outdated, but honestly, given the limits of this game's engine, I think this is a really solid addition, and I think this is something people are going to be playing for a long time. So, I guess that brings me to my final conclusions. Now, what do I think of this update overall?
I mean, it's alright.
In comparison to the atrocity that was the San Andreas Mercenaries DLC, I do think this update was an improvement. It's very noob-friendly compared to a lot of the most recent updates where it was like super expensive to get in for like not a lot of pay. In this case, there's literally a mission in this update, and even the new business itself where it's not that expensive to get your feet in, and the pay from it is still pretty good regardless. And it's a lot like the Acid Lab in that way. I do like that aspect. I do like a lot of the vehicles that were also drip fed, although there is something I did forget to mention, and that's that the vehicles from this update specifically tend to be really glitchy. There's an issue with the new Vajero where the back right window just does not go down when you let the roof down, and it's really frustrating if you have window tint. There's a bug with the Illusion where a headlight is just straight up missing. Like, no joke, go and look at it. Like, right now, go and take a look. The headlight is just gone. I don't know what happened there. There's I can't remember what exactly there is. I know there is some issue with the new Dominator, but I can't remember what it is. There's an issue with the Terminus where if you put non-stock doors on it and the door breaks off, it just pops back into like its stock form, and it's like really weird. To be fair, none of these are game breaking. Like it's not gonna offer like any unfair advantage. It's just annoying, you know? It's a lot like the Mercenaries update in that way, where a lot of those vehicles were just really buggy. Remember the monstrosity? Remember how many bugs there was with that? Remember the bug with the La Carouse where putting a fucking sun visor on it would make it like rocket proof? There just generally seems to be like a lack of quality assurance when it comes to some of these vehicles. And again, don't get me wrong, none of this is game breaking. It's just that like, how did they miss these, you know? And I'm also trying to be a little bit optimistic about this update because when you compare this to the fact that in Mercenaries, Rockstar literally removed content in that update, I feel like that speaks volumes. So the fact that with this update they didn't remove any more cars as we speak right now, like in Mercenaries, they literally removed nearly 200 vehicles from the website, and in this update they just haven't bothered removing any more. Sadly, I don't think they'll ever add them back as with the Vinewood Car Club, they're using that as a way to peddle these cars with GTA Plus, but at least they haven't removed any more as far as we know. But it's just that like all in all, I do think this update was kind of mid. It wasn't bad. Like I did enjoy a lot of the content with this update. It's just that compared to what could have been, and compared to the absolute abomination that was Mercenaries, I think this sort of just sits somewhere in the middle. Like, I don't know. I just really hope we do get at least one final hoorah update before GTA 6, which, as far as we know, could literally be next year. So, like, I don't know. I think there are some missed opportunities with this, but I also think that for what it's worth, and considering the effort that is going into GTA 6, I think this is perfectly fine. But that's it for now. That's what I think. Let me know what you think down in the comment, and let me know if I missed anything important. I didn't go over every single part of this update because there is a good sizable amount of stuff to have talked about. I just wanted to try to hit all the major points. But that's it for now. I'm out.